Hi, my name is Sophia Ambrosio, and my speech is going to be over child abuse and neglect. For my speech, I'm going to be addressing rates of child abuse and potential underreporting of child abuse in Ohio, the inadequacies in addressing child abuse and neglect in Ohio during COVID-19, problems that stem from child abuse and neglect, and the solution and barriers to the solution of child abuse and neglect in Ohio. To get you thinking about my topic, think of the COVID-19 pandemic and your personal feelings, maybe the fear, isolation, and uncertainty. Now think of a child who's still developing and needs guidance. If they're being abused on top of all the negative emotions associated with the pandemic, how do you think they feel? What resources can they turn to? It's a hard topic to think about, but it's the reality of many children's situations. According to the U.S. Child's Bureau, in Ohio in 2020, there were 23,961 child victims and over 81,183 referrals to investigate a child abuse situation. Although this might seem like a lot, it's important to note that not all abuse is noticed, and kids can slip through the cracks, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. A lack of reporting can lead to long-lasting social and mental implications for the children and their ability to become a functioning part of society. That being said, the problem is COVID-19 has highlighted Ohio's existing inadequacies in the child abuse response system, putting an already vulnerable population at further risk. First off, Ohio needs to improve its inadequacies with reporting and helping child abuse victims. The Ohio Government Advisory Council recommended 37 changes to the system, such as a need for a qualified workforce and mandated reporters, as it's hard to retain workers, and better statewide standards for critical screening decisions. As the council stated, there are real holes in the system that need improvement. The lack of appropriate measures across multiple categories of the child abuse system relate directly to real-time decreased statistics of child abuse reporting and victims. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the reported rates of childhood abuse victims. However, that does not mean there's less child abuse. For Ohio, according to the Child's Bureau, the number of child victims dropped from 25,470 in 2019 to 23,691 in 2020, showing the same natural trend of decreasing reports of cases during the pandemic. However, that does not mean the problem has dissipated. RAP says that parents experiencing pandemic-related social isolation report an increase in verbal aggression, physical punishment, and neglectful behaviors towards their children, suggesting rates have actually gone up. He continues to say falling trends of child maltreatment crime reports during the pandemic is concerning, meaning that many cases may be unfortunately going unnoticed. These gaps in statistics found in Ohio between 2019 and 2020 point to the urgency of the problem of underreporting child abuse in Ohio. In conjunction with lower rates of reporting, there are greater risks both socially and mentally posed to children that cannot be helped. In Columbus, one of the largest school systems in Ohio, 75% of the teachers reported increased concerns of children's mental health, i.e. PTSD, trauma exposure, and suicidal ideation and attempts that coincide with COVID-19, according to Lee. Abused children were also at a higher risk for comorbidities such as anxiety, PTSD, and substance abuse disorders, according to Lippert. In addition to not only mental risks, child abuse negatively impacts social bonds, according to Watts. Not only are maltreated children going unnoticed during the pandemic, but there are long-lasting mental and social implications. Mental illnesses are problems that are not easily mitigated. Those mental disorders take copious amounts of professional and self-help to fix. If there's no help to stop disorders from occurring in the first place, it's unlikely that children will get help for the side effects of abuse later. These long-lasting effects will only continue to negatively affect children's lives as they transition into adulthood, perpetuating social and mental unwellness for the next generation of Ohioan adults, making it an urgent problem for both the child abuse response system and the citizens of Ohio. If there's no way to mitigate such problems in the system, there are children who will continue to slip through the cracks, and their lives will continue to be negatively impacted. The most urgent time to act is now. So that being said, my solution is I want people to donate to the Children's Defense Fund of Ohio, otherwise known as CDF. The CDF is a leading child advocacy organization that contains a diverse expert staff that focuses on many areas pertaining to child welfare. All funds go directly through the different branches to help create change for children, and their effects can be far-reaching. In Ohio, they helped launch Ohio's Legislative Children's Caucus, which contains 40 policymakers dedicated to forming child welfare legislation, and they secured over $1 billion for child welfare programs in Ohio. They operate across multiple states, and nationally, they helped pass the landmark Family First Transition and Support Act that improved child welfare across the country. Money donated to their organization not only has set up local programs for children, but has had far-reaching legislative effects both locally and nationally, showing the sheer magnitude of influence and initiative they take when it comes to helping disadvantaged and neglected children. Taking all of this into account makes the CDF the best solution for the child abuse problem in Ohio. Next are the barriers for why one wouldn't donate to the CDF. first barrier may be that many people are skeptical about nonprofits that ask for money since some can be corrupt. However, as reflected in the statistics on the slide, the CDF is very transparent about the budget, and with such clear-cut statistics, people can be sure that their money isn't being used for illegitimate purposes. Next, the uncertainty of a nonprofit's mission can be unnerving when money is involved. However, the website provides ample information and data reports about their organization and their mission, proving the legitimacy of their work. Lastly, one barrier may be that people don't feel like the problem is relevant or critical, especially if they aren't personally affected. However, as discussed earlier, there are real problems with children suffering from abuse and neglect in the Columbus area, as said by Lee. Realizing the relevance of the child abuse in the Columbus community is vital for helping foster positive change in Columbus and across Ohio. So, in conclusion, donate to the CDF to ensure that neglected and abused kids have support both through laws and community programs to help combat rates of child abuse in Ohio during the COVID-19 pandemic.